are rolling. Alright. Old Pete, St. Anakin, take 2.
Gather round, children, and I'll tell you a tale of a town most peculiar. It begins with me and Yukon Joe hauling lickety-splat through the Alaskan wilderness carrying a golden walrus what must have weighed 10 stone. The ornament had been part of a trophy for walrus jockeys afore we absconded with it in the dead of night. Of course, that much precious metal don't go walking away without someone trying to come on after it. We'd been pursued for the last 48 hours by one of the meanest, nastiest, hardtack-eatingest, fire-spittingest bounty hunters in the icy north. A man named Hombor, long in tooth and scar, 7 feet tall, and a teeth that could eat rocks. Anyway, when I'd spied him on the hill a few miles behind us, that hawk-eyed hunter had pulled out 2 flags and informed us via semaphore that he was a sporting man, and that if we could get to the Canadian border, he would let us alone. If he caught up to us, though, he assured us that we would suffer a terrible fat. That might have been a misspelling on his part, but fermented seal blubber was a delicacy in those parts, and that's a fat I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. And so he stalked us for 2 whole days. Might have been that between my harpoon and Joe's pickaxe we were a force not to be reckoned lightly. Could be he was waiting on one of us to sleep, though with Joe's bottle of hornet sting close at hand it weren't likely. Or maybe he knew that on our present course we would run across the town of St. Anakin, and that's exactly what happened. Now, in those days, if you were to wander into St. Anakin from the east, you would first notice the wall. 30 foot tall it was, and adorned at the top with all kinds of spiny nastiness sharpened right into the seamless stone, and it went on to the very ends of the sky. Had we the presence of mind at that time, we might have also noticed a suspicious lack of lady folk. Anyway, there was no way through the wall that we could see, so Joe and I decided that we would take our chances trying to find some kind of gate in the town proper. Plus our digits were turning a right dangerous shade of purple and we needed to get inside. We made for a building that looked like it had been cut neat in half by the stones. Sign over the door said it was St. Anakin's College of the Unhorned. See, it was reckoned by the town that the men on this side were to grow up to be real men and learn to wrestle mooses bare-handed without distraction from the lady folk. Likewise, the ladies were brought up to be real ladies and learn to wrestle mooses bare-handed without distraction from the menfolk. Yes, sirree, St. Anakin had a real moose problem. Now everyone knows that mooses, like most creatures on God's green earth, can be brought out of a charge simply by reaching up and tugging their eyelids firmly sideways. Simple on a chalkboard, complicated in real life, and you don't really get another chance if you screw it up the first time. We just barged in on a lecture covering that very subject. We were trying to explain our presence and that of the golden walrus to the faculty when the horn blew. Nowadays, we have radars to tell us when a moose swarm is coming, but back in those days, we just had a high tower in our eyeballs. And it was clear to me and Joe from the looks on the faces of the townsfolk that we were facing the swarm to end all swarms, and that maybe Hombar was no longer the greatest of our tribulations. Today, they'd have called it a 1,000-year swarm. I just called it trouble. So the boys rushed from their seats and went to serve in the manner that they'd been taught. Joe handed me the golden walrus and went off somewhere to effect some scheme or another. So there I was, sitting there on the back lines and holding a harpoon that wouldn't do me a barleycorn of good against the fearsome exoskeleton of the terrifying Canadian moose. And 5 minutes later, here comes that damn fool Joe through the clamor, waving a piece of cheese that he'd no doubt raided from somebody's larder, and one of those damn mooses rubbernecking all about, following that cheese with its whole head. And Joe, he whirls around and chucks that cheese right at the wall and spins out of the way of whatever would happen next. And sure enough, the creature wanted that cheese. It charged through and put a dang hole through 4 feet of stone. Wasn't keen on following the damnable thing, but I look behind us and there's Hombar fighting his way to us through the antlers as if being gored was just an everyday nuisance. So through the wall we go. Sure shooting, Hombar expected we'd get stuck here, and now he's hopping mad. So he charges a wall with a bellow that weren't that much different from the mooses'. And let me tell you, if he saw fit to keep his yap shut, I might be in Alaskan jail right now, but he didn't. He'd startled one of the girls on the other side. 2 heads shorter than he, but she leapt right up, grabbed his eyelids, and brought him down with an eye-crossing, skull-cracking slam and knocked him clean out. Me and Joe got some strange looks being the only men in town, but we made it to Canada safe and sound. Nah, I wasn't around for it, but 6 months later I read in the paper that the brave people of St. Anakin had defeated the wild mooses. So now there was a hole in the wall bringing all the men and women of St. Anakin together for the first time in 15 years, and everyone was all riled up from fighting for their lives. That night was rip-roaring pandemonium that left 33 women and 10 men pregnant. No one knew who all was responsible for the pregnancies, and in those days we didn't have DNA testing. No, we had to rely on the blood tasters, and the blood tasters were all on strike to avoid a nasty plague of the crookedy lung that'd been going around. Thus followed a Guinness World Record-breaking 124-participant shotgun wedding. Last I heard, the town was doing all right, and those kids were the damn finest moose flippers there ever were. Anyway, that's where babies come from. Now get to your beds. No, not like that, opposite sides of the house.